privileged to serve as the area director for the Northern California chapters of AFSP. I'm here as staff for the organization today, and I'm also here as a survivor of suicide loss. The Out of the Darkness walks hold a special place in my heart and in my life, and I'm so glad to see so many people here today. The walk today benefits the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention and the Greater Sacramento Area Chapter. And we all look forward to this event just as much as you all do every year. We come to the walks to make a difference, to make an impact, and to help bring this issue into the light together. Last year, more than 200,000 people walked in walks like this around the country. That's an increase of almost 60,000 people from the year before. Your participation in this event, you're sharing it with family and friends on Facebook, through email, in conversations, broadcasting it to those around you. Your involvement is changing the way we address suicide and mental illness. Thanks to your efforts, we've funded more than $20 million in research since 2002 alone. We continue to implement programs for high schools and colleges. We continue to advocate for public policy for greater access to mental health care and for increased funding to suicide prevention. You're being a part of this movement to stop suicide and to demand greater attention for research and funding is making a difference. I appreciate your all being here together again today, and I hope that your experience is a meaningful one with us this morning. So I'd like to start the program, and I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce our event MC. She's a board member for the Greater Sacramento Area Chapter, and she's a familiar voice across America. Heather Lee dishes entertainment, news, and dirt every weeknight on CMT Radio Live, and also on After Midnight with Cody Allen on over 300 radio stations. Please welcome me in welcoming our MC.
Good morning. How's everyone doing today? Good? Good stuff. We're very happy you're here. Welcome to the Sacramento Out of the Darkness Community Walk. It is our privilege to have you here today. This will be, hopefully go better than that. We are hoping that this will be a day of remembrance and healing for you. Today is a day to reflect, to remember those who we lost, and to raise awareness for mental illness and suicide prevention. A few facts to consider. The American Foundation for Suicide Prevention was founded in 1987 and is the leader in the fight against suicide. We are here because sadly suicide is a leading cause of death and a serious public health issue that needs to be addressed more directly. The latest data shows that more than 41,000 people die by suicide in the United States each year. That is one death by suicide every 13.7 minutes. 90% of these people had a diagnosable and treatable mental illness at the time of their death. These deaths take a serious toll on the family members, friends, co-workers, classmates, and communities as a whole that are left behind. And this has become a national health issue that you are helping to address by being here today. We honor many of you for the courage that it has taken to be here. We thank those of you who are here to support those who have lost a loved one to suicide. We also honor those of you who are here because you may be struggling yourselves. This past year, over 200,000 participants just like you have walked in community walks across the country, and we are here today to take action, to stand up and bring suicide out of the darkness. We have a great program lined up for you today. We want to make sure you get the most out of your time with us, so we have a few announcements. Please make sure you drop off your thank you prize drawing tickets in the bowls for a chance to win some great prizes. And remember to get your free honor beads as well. Please take some time to visit the new Remembrance Tree, pick up the beads, and visit the AFSP table for information on AFSP programs and volunteer opportunities. We've got To Be the Voice merchandise as well here in the store, which is right back there. We also have many visiting organizations here today to provide information, so make some time to speak with them if you'd like. and on with the program. I would like to introduce you to our keynote speakers for this morning. Many of you have probably seen news items and stories about the two men that are here to speak with us today. Kevin Briggs was an officer with the California Highway Patrol for more than 20 years. He has been an integral part of suicide prevention efforts on the Golden Gate Bridge and has been featured in many news articles that have received national attention for their focus on the very human aspects of suicide prevention efforts in law enforcement. He was also awarded the Public Service Award by AFSP at the 2012 National Lifesavers Dinner in New York City for his career's work in helping prevent suicide deaths in the course of his work. Kevin Berthia is living each day in gratitude after Sergeant Kevin Briggs talked him back over the ledge of the Golden Gate Bridge in 2005. Kevin has since become a suicide prevention advocate, encouraging people to talk through their problems rather than think about ending their lives. He believes that depression may be a part of you, but it is not who you are. He lives here in Northern California and has since welcomed a third child into the world. Both of these men have been wonderful advocates for suicide prevention over the last several years and reach more and more people at events like the Out of the Darkness Walks, which they are veteran speakers at by now. We're very grateful to have both of them together here with us. Please join me in giving a huge River City welcome to Kevin Briggs and Kevin Berthia to the stage.
Thank you so much for that warm introduction. As you said, my name is Kevin Berthia, and I am grateful for the opportunity to briefly share my story and share a few words about the importance of connection, community, helping others, and hope. In 2005, my life was saved at the Golden Gate Bridge. That day was intimately shared with someone I never met before, a stranger to me, but not to the Golden Gate Bridge. Another Kevin, CHP Sergeant Kevin Briggs, gently introduced himself to me and engaged me in the greatest conversation I could ever imagine. A stranger that day, but who will soon be a person I will get to know and become great friends with. Because of Sergeant Briggs' ability to have an incredible, difficult conversation with me, I am able to share with you the power of connection. That two people can meet and start a friendship under those circumstances is remarkable. I am fortunate to call Kevin Briggs my friend today. Prior to meeting Kevin, I battled an undiagnosed and untreated mental illness. I was unable to recognize, cope, or even deal with the challenges that face with dealing with the illness of the brain. Isolation and stigma were constant obstacles for me. Now, because of positive connections in my life, I have recognition, I have a diagnosis, I have proper treatment, I have management of my mental health. I am a father, I'm a significant other, I'm a son, I'm a friend, and I'm a contributing member of this community. I am empowered through my life experience to make a difference and help others. I stand before you today to inspire hope. I want those personally suffering and those who lost someone to know that your life can and will get better. I will battle depression for the rest of my life, but as powerful as the disease is, I know my life, I know I can live the life that I want to live with the right support. I am extremely inspired to be here with you, to walk and be a part of the cause, a movement that symbolizes who I am, what I deal with, and what I've overcome. You may be here because you personally struggle with a mental illness, or you may be here because you have lost a loved one. But we are here together, and you are not alone. We are linked, we are by no means strangers today. Going forward, we are linked by a common goal of healing, happiness, and hope. Our difficult times will only bind us together as a community. So here right now, my journey with you begins to challenge the surrounding stigma around suicide, to take the conversation about mental health to a new level and create a greater sense of awareness to this movement and save lives. We need to help those in crisis, support those on these healing journeys, and to provide help to others in the communities. Let us bring those personally struggling and all survivors of suicide loss out of darkness. Before you begin our walk, or before leaving this afternoon, introduce yourself to someone. Don't be afraid, say hello, give them a hug. You never know what that hug might do. Thank you all for participating today and have a wonderful walk.
Good morning, good morning. If this happens to go, I talk with my hands a lot, so maybe way out there. I'm the other part of Kevin Square. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here. It's a huge deal, especially in this location. I want to tell you, last year, Assembly Bill 2198, Mark Levine, Assembly member, wrote this bill to get folks trained, anybody with mental health care, to get them trained in suicide assessment. It passed the Assembly, it passed the Senate. The governor didn't sign it. Why? Why? We have questions for these folks. There's a lot of work to be done, okay? I want him up on that bridge, looking at those folks, looking him in the eye and the other folks, and see the suffering and pain that they're in. As Heather said, 2013 is when we have our statistics, so to speak, and I hate that word. But we lost over 41,000 folks, 41,000 to suicide. I'm a traffic cop, did it for 23 years. In that same year, we lost just over 32,000 in traffic accidents. Suicide far outnumbers that. Where's the money going? The money's going in to traffic safety, a whole lot more than it is to mental health. So we, being right here, I would like to see this on a Monday when all these folks are here, really. They need to see what's going on with us. We have a lot of work to do. I'm so happy to see you all. Thank you for coming out. It's really, really important. Thank you, folks. Have a great walk.
Thank you guys so much. So did everybody get their beads? Everybody do a little bit of art? Everybody's registered? I know you're all ready to start walking, but before we go, we need to make sure everyone's muscles are stretched out, warmed up, and ready to go. Here to lead the warm-up and talk to us about his own personal journey and reasons for wanting to become involved in the walk is Pacey Williams on V101 right here in Sacramento, weekdays from 3 to 7. Let's give it up for Pacey.
Hey guys, how you doing? Good? Like she said, I'm Pacey. I do afternoons on V1. Anyone listen to V101? No? Yeah! Love that. I just kind of want to tell, the personal story of why I'm getting involved with this, and I love supporting this event is, as a teen, and whoever listens probably already knows this, I was a gay teen, and so it was really that much more difficult kind of growing up because, the campaigns of It Gets Better hadn't come out yet. So it was really, kind of difficult. I felt really on my own a lot growing up. And, I was suicidal as a teen. I attempted it a couple times. And the reason I'm also actually a certified personal trainer is because, fitness is actually what I attribute to, me still being here. When I was 15 or 16, my mom, who is a major supporter of me, and I love her so much, she was trying to figure out, she didn't know how to handle, having a suicidal teen. So she ended up getting me a gym membership. And all I can remember is from that day forward, that first week I started working out, doing cardio, doing, muscular activities, what have you. My life just completely turned around. So, I tell people, anyone that I train, anyone that I talk to considering getting into fitness, that, it was definitely a lifesaver for me. So I just kind of wanted to, tell you guys that, and then, yeah, that's it. You guys ready to warm up? Yeah? All right, everyone up. We're just going to stretch our hamstrings. We're going to stretch our quads a little bit. So it's a pretty simple stretch. Just kind of keeping a slight bend in the knee, bending over, trying to touch the floor if you can. If not, it's okay. Just make sure you're feeling that stretch in the back of the legs. Guys good? Hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2. Now, without coming up, hold on. Go to the right. Stretch the right leg. For 5, 4, 3, 2. Switch to the left. 5, 4, 3, 2. Come up. Now you're gonna have to probably hold on to someone. I think you can think of this because we're gonna be on one leg, and you're gonna opposite arm to opposite leg. So go ahead, if you can, if you're comfortable with your neighbor. Hold on. 5, 4, 3, 2. Now switch. Other. So hold on to your opposite neighbor. Hold on for 7, 6, 5, 4. Oh, hi. Okay. 2, 1. We're going to do one more on each side. Ready? Switch. A little laugh before the walk, right? And last one. Switch. Believe it or not, this is getting your heart rate up, too. Especially the laughing. 3, 2, 1, and good. And you are officially stretched and warmed up. Yay! Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Casey. A few reminders, this is not a race or a timed event. We want you to walk as a group. So please stay behind the AFSP Out of the Darkness banner. That will be carried by, is it Team Meow Tones? Those are our top fundraisers this year. Do we have a number on that? Oh, but we will. Oh, we will. $6,900. Thank you so much.
I swear I'm nothing without you. I swear I give and I take just for one more night, and we're still breathing fine. My head is on your shoulder. I'm alive. I've been waiting for you. Hold on, my dear. Take away the fear of loving everything after. I know we're leaving the old place behind. We'll go run from the city and shout out loud. We're still breathing fine. My head is on your shoulder. I'm alive. I've been waiting for you. Hold on, my dear. Take away the fear of loving everything after.
Okay, so what made you come out to the walk today?
So I actually volunteer for the walk. I'm on the board, so I help organize this event.
Okay, wow. This is a huge community event. I think that the community need to know about suicide and how to prevent suicide. And do you have any other comments to share about just suicide or how to prevent suicide?
Yeah, so we're here with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, fundraising money for them. They do a lot of things for suicide prevention, like educating people about it, helping victims of suicide. And so we're all out here fundraising money for them, trying to help them. I have 2 friends that passed away. All 3 of us were roommates from suicide, so it's affected me in a personal way. So I feel really strongly just about helping people and taking that energy and that sadness that you feel when your friends do that or when your family does that, and putting it out in a good way, in a good energy. So I think that's why we're all out here today. It's a very important cause.
Okay, I totally understand that. And how often is this walk being done in the community? Is it once a year, twice a year, or?
So we have this walk in Sacramento annually. It's always the first weekend of October. They also have it through the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention in all other major cities. And then they do campus walks. So most universities also have a walk. So this is walk season, and there's usually a walk every weekend.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. And I'm so glad to be here, and I'm so glad to be a part of it too.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay.
We're glad you're here too.
And nice to meet you.
Good to meet you too.
Okay. Hi, I'm Jesse with Mental Health Matters, and what brought you out here to the walk today?
I am walking for my dad. This is he took his life in 1993 on Christmas Eve, and this is my third year walking.
Oh, okay. And how often do they have this walk here in Sacramento? Do you know?
I think they have it every year. I just show up and I volunteer, and then I just try to help people with the pain, because there's a lot of pain going on here right now.
Yes. You know, this is my first time finding out about the suicide walk, and so I was really excited that they was having this walk to educate the community about suicide and how to prevent suicide. And so do you do any other type of volunteer work surrounding suicide prevention?
Yes, I also go in and do newsletters for the friends and family of suicide victims. I fold the newsletters. So every now and then I go in and I do a bunch of newsletters to help.
Okay, I think that is awesome, because when I'm hearing from you, you're a huge advocate for preventing suicide in our community.
Yes, I am. I am very. This is something that needs to bring more awareness, because people that are in the darkness, there is a light. There is hope before you take your life.
Yes, and there's a lot of stigma surrounded by suicide as well. I think a lot of people don't know the signs and not really educated about suicide and how to prevent suicide. So I think you're doing a great work, and I want to thank you for being out here today.
And I want to thank you for inspiring me to come again, and maybe you'll come next year too.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it.
All right, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
My name is Bill Bowles. I am the first vice commander for American Legion Post 233 in Elk Grove. Several years ago, a very good friend of mine lost her husband to suicide. He happened to be a Vietnam veteran, and that affected me quite a bit when I found out we have 22 vets a day commit suicide. We need to stop it, and that's why I'm here. Thank you.
Okay, I'm Jesse. I'm with a show here in Sacramento called Mental Health Matters. And may I ask your name, please?
Oh, Randy Solorio.
Okay, and you?
Casey Solorio.
Casey, okay. Why did you guys attend a suicide prevention walk today?
Well, we have lost some friends to suicide and wanted to come out and show our support and let people know that education and awareness can make a difference.
Yes, this is a huge problem in our community, and there's a lot of stigma attached to suicide. And so a lot of people don't really know the signs, and a lot of people just kind of push it on the back. And so do you foresee this problem being just more awareness being raised in the community surrounded by suicide?
Oh, I mean, awareness, I think, on both sides of hopefully anyone with suicide tendencies realize that people are there to help, and that awareness might help them as well as us learning the warning signs.
Absolutely. Are you participating in the actual walk, or are you just here just to kind of enjoy the activity?
Oh, we're here to walk, for sure.
Okay, well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you. May I ask your name, please?
My name's Angela.
Angela, nice to meet you. Angela, what made you come out and support this event here for suicide prevention?
This is a cause that matters because it touches me by a loss of someone very special to me. And I think it's important that people know because I didn't know. And if I had known, I could have done something different.
I totally understand. I just recently, in my family, like part of my family, we had somebody to commit suicide. And even though I work in the program and I'm educated and have a lot of knowledge about it, a lot of my family members refuse to identify the warning signs that was there. And, so now they're much more open to get educated about, suicide and how to prevent suicide. So will you be participating in Walk as well?
Oh, absolutely. That's why I'm here. I'm here to actually honor the person that we lost. And because it's important that we keep his memory alive.
Yes. Is this your first time participating in this event?
It's my first time, and it's not going to be my last.
Yes, I actually just found out about this event, believe it or not, maybe like a couple of months ago. And so when I got this on my radar, I was so excited because I do think the community need to know about suicide and how to prevent suicide. So I thank you so much for speaking with me today, and I hope you enjoy the walk.
Yeah, I'm here to support, and I hope more people come out and support. This is a very, very, very important cause because people are important.
Thank you so much. Hi, my name is Jesse Williams, and I'm here with the TV show called Mental Health Matters here in Sacramento. May I ask who I'm speaking with?
My name is Pam Trask.
I'm Steve Trask.
Okay, nice to meet you, Pam and Steve. Well, what brought you out here today?
Well, we just lost 2 of our sons this year to suicide, and we didn't even know about the walk until that happened, and so we realized how widespread it is, and not knowing, that before we lost our sons, we want to bring awareness for everybody else to know about it, and hopefully, there'll be more prevention and more help with mental illness and things like that.
Okay, so before that happened with your loved one, were you guys educated at all, or did you know the signs?
No, none at all.
Really didn't.
It was a shock. I mean, for both of the boys, it was a shock, that it happened. We didn't realize then, that it was so easily happened, and all that.
Still in shock.
Do you guys feel like there's a lot of stigma attached around suicide, and do you feel like people just kind of push it on the back burner and just really don't want to just deal with it?
Yes, most definitely. We've learned more about how much funding is pointed towards mental health and things like that, and you start seeing more and more of the people out on the streets that have mental illness, and realizing that there's no help for them, really. I mean, or very little. And even for our sons, especially our youngest son, he had been in several psych facilities several times, and all they would do is write a prescription. They never did any testing to help him or any of those kinds of things. And so, and then losing him like that, anyways.
Okay, well, I'm sorry to hear about that. And hopefully everything will work out for you guys. And thank you guys for talking to me. May I ask who I'm speaking with?
Kimberly Vaughn.
Shannon Kelly.
Okay, nice to meet you, Kim and Shannon. Hey, what brought you guys out to the walk today?
My boyfriend committed suicide in 2011.
And I'm her sister. And my friend Christina, her husband committed suicide as well. And our friend Zach Rogers, he committed suicide as well. So we're walking for 3 people today.
Okay. Is this you guys' first time participating in this walk?
No, I've been to the one in Auburn before.
Same here with Auburn. We went together, 2 years ago? Or was it last year?
2 years ago.
Okay. And when did you guys first find out about the Out of the Darkness walk for suicide prevention?
I found it out through Friends for Survival, They're an organization that helps suicide survivors for families, and they told me about it.
Yeah, and she told me about it, and I went with her.
Okay. Do you guys think that we need to raise more awareness in the community about suicide and how to prevent suicide?
Definitely.
Definitely, yeah.
Well, I appreciate you talking to me today, and I hope that you guys enjoyed the event.
Thank you very much.
Nice meeting you too.
Nice to meet you too.
May I ask who I'm speaking with?
Lincoln Scott.
Lincoln Scott. Nice to meet you, Lincoln. Lincoln, what brought you out here to the walk today?
I'm supporting my friend. Her brother died by suicide a few years ago, and I'm here to support her. I've also attempted suicide in the past.
Okay. Before that, did you know about this walk, or how long did you know about this particular event?
I didn't know. I only found out about this event like 2 weeks ago. I didn't know events like this existed, and when I found out about it, I wanted to come and show my support because I feel it's an important cause.
Yes, it is. Now, you said that you also tried to commit suicide. Do you think that you had people around you that was able to identify the warning signs?
I don't. At the time I attempted suicide, I don't believe there were people around that know see the warning signs.
So do you think people now in the community are being more aware about suicide and how to prevent suicide?
Yes, I do feel there are some, but there are still some that need to learn.
Definitely. Okay, well, thank you so much, Lincoln, for talking to me, and it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Okay. May I ask who I'm speaking with, please?
John Davies.
Okay, nice to meet you, John. John, so what brought you out here to support this event today?
Well, a close family friend, Kelsey, in the last 3 months ended up losing the battle with depression. And so me and all our family friends are out here to support her. Kelsey's people, we're just trying to represent and make sure that other people don't go through the same struggles that she went through.
Okay. Before that event happened with Kelsey, do you feel like other people, like close family or friends, knew or was educated about suicide and how to prevent suicide?
No, I feel like a lot of people are uneducated on what the struggles people go through, and there's a lot of blame that's pushed around. And I feel like we need to understand more what these people are actually going through, and that depression is a disease, you know, and you can't just instantly get cured from a disease by laughing or making yourself happy. You can seem happy around a lot of family, around a lot of friends. You can be social, have a lot of friends, but on the inside, you could be really depressed and really sad. So we just want that to be known.
Do you think that a lot of people here in our society can do a better job with, you know, identifying the warning signs and just really paying attention to their family or their friends when they're going through some type of crisis or some type of situation that affected their mental health?
Well, I definitely think there's a stigma on people going out and seeking help, and I think there should be more acceptance on if you say, hey, I am depressed, I'm going this way. I think it should be more warm and loving than how it's been stigmatized in our society nowadays, which I feel like you did bring up a good point in saying the way society views it isn't correct, and that's why events like this and educating people is what's really going to help everybody understand what everybody's truly going through.
So do you think that you will participate in more events like this to try to raise awareness in the community?
Definitely, definitely.
Okay, nice to meet you, John, and it's nice to talk to you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Jesse Williams, and I'm here with the local TV show called Mental Health Matters here in Sacramento. May I ask who I'm speaking with, please?
My name is Sarah Benedict. I'm the team captain of Team Meow Tones. I'm Rochelle, too, and I'm the co-captain.
Okay, nice to meet both of you. So what brought you guys out here to support this event today?
I actually lost my brother to suicide 3 years ago today. Today is actually the anniversary of his death. So after he died, I was looking for just any kind of information I could get on the internet about suicide. I came across the AFSP, so I started a team, and I got my friends and family to join, and we've been participating for the last 3 years now.
Sarah got me involved, actually, and it's been a really good experience. More and more people I know in my everyday life have been coming forward with their similar experience, so it's nice to see that, you know, we're doing something to help.
So do you guys feel like we need to, as a community, raise more awareness about suicide prevention?
Absolutely. I think suicide is pushed under the rug a lot of times. I was actually surprised how many people I knew that had lost someone to suicide that I didn't know, people that were close to me in my life, because nobody wants to talk about it. When I started talking about it, other people opened up. So I think that if we make it less of a taboo subject, less of a taboo subject, and bring it to light and have more people talk about it and have more resources for help, that it would definitely be a benefit to the community.
So do you guys think that there's a stigma attached to suicide, and maybe that's the reason why so many people is not willing to just talk about and deal with it?
I definitely think that. I think there's a stigma with mental health too. People don't want to tell other people that they're suffering or that they have problems because they feel like nobody will take them seriously, or they're going to think about them as, weird or different or whatever. Like I said before, I know so many people who have lost someone to suicide who didn't speak about it. And I think to some families it's shameful. They don't want to admit that maybe they feel like they failed that person or there's some kind of guilt involved with it. They don't want to talk about it. We were up front from the beginning. We wanted to let everyone know. My brother, personally, he suffered from mental illness for years, over 10 years. So we wanted to let people know, like, look, we were there. We tried to help. He was on medication. He was in therapy. This still happened. Like, we need more resources. Like, we need to talk about this more and, get more people involved.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I definitely think that this is not a racial issue, meaning, or cultural issue. I know in the African American community, we tend to kind of push that under the rug. I know I have a brother and a sister who suffer from a mental health issue, and growing up, it was obvious that, they was having some type of issues. But my mom, she kind of pushed it on the rug because she was worried about, what her friends would think and what other family members would think. And because of that, they suffered greatly, throughout their years because they didn't get the proper help that they needed. So in situations like that, do you think that we as a community need to just come together and just kind of do outreach, health fairs, and do more community events like this to bring the community together as a whole so that we can stop suicide and identify the signs that's connected with suicide?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think identifying the signs is one of the biggest things that we should be putting out there. I think a lot of times people are afraid to talk to someone who they might think is suicidal, but if we could just get past that and get more people involved with actually talking to someone and saying, I'm here for you, let me know, how can I help you? I think that educating the community on ways to help would be very beneficial.
Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for talking to me, and I really appreciate it. Nice to meet you. All right. Okay. Hi, I'm Jesse Williams. I'm here with Mental Health Matters here at the Out of the Darkness Suicide Prevention Walk. Here I have with me Kevin Berthia, and I wanted to kind of talk to Kevin so that Kevin can tell his story in the community. How you doing today, Kevin?
I'm great. How about yourself?
I'm doing okay. Are you enjoying the event that we have going on here today?
This is wonderful. It's a very beautiful venue, beautiful day. A lot of great communities come out. This is great.
Yes, this event is definitely great. It's, I love events like this because it begins to raise awareness in the community about suicide and how to prevent suicide. This is definitely an issue that goes on a lot, and a lot of times people don't know how to deal with it. A lot of people are uneducated about it, and some people don't know where to go and get help. So do you have any personal experience with this particular subject, suicide, or anything like that?
Well, I was diagnosed at 19 with congenital mental depression disorder. I didn't know at all that I had a mental depression disorder. I grew up in Oakland, California, where your reputation kind of succeeds itself, and you get caught up in becoming a cover and making people think everything is fine with you. Like I said, at 19, I got diagnosed. I had no idea nothing about mental depression. 3 years later, I had a nervous breakdown at 22 when I drove myself to the Golden Gate Bridge. That day, I met Sergeant Briggs, who talked me down from a ledge that I had jumped off for 92 minutes. After that, I kind of vacated myself from depression and just dealing with everything.
Okay, so I know you said that you was dealing with depression. Like, do you mind sharing with me what were you actually depressed about? What was going on in your life that actually caused the depression and that actually led you to the bridge?
I was adopted at 6 months old, so I had developed a lot of abandonment issues growing up. So that was that was hard for me to deal with growing up. My parents divorced when I was 13, so I kind of blamed myself. So that was a lot dealing with that, the separation issues with the divorce and dealing with the man issues when I become a father. My daughter was born early. I ended up, premature, just dealing with being a father. I lost my job. It was just a lot of things that, just I never really dealt with my issues that occurred in life. I just kind of brushed them to the side like nothing ever existed, and they still existed, and they still were there.
Okay. And so when you actually was up on that bridge, tell me what was going through your mind, and what was actually going through your mind? Like, apparently you want to kind of end it all, and what was going through your mind when you was on the bridge?
I felt like a failure. I felt like I didn't have a choice. I felt like I put myself in a situation where I had no choice but to jump and end it all. I felt like things weren't going to get better. I was tired of waiting for tomorrow to come and seeing. I waited for tomorrow to come plenty of days, and it wasn't getting any better. I felt like I let everybody down, and I was just a burden to everybody in their life, and I felt like I had no choice.
Yes. Okay. And so I know in the African American community, I know that suicide is kind of like taboo. We don't really deal with those issues because we are looked at as being a strong race, especially being an African American male. We kind of deal with a lot from society, and so we have this image where we're really strong men, and our personalities are really strong, but the fact remains is we all still have our own struggles. We have our own issues. I know I grew up in a family where my father was not involved in my life, and I had my own internal struggles, and one of those struggles was depression, and so I didn't really have the resources, and I didn't have the education or the support to kind of really help me with that. But what I did was, when I started working for certain agencies in the human services field, that's where I was able to get my education at. So with saying that, what actually caused you to change your mind when you was on the bridge? Because I know that the officer came and was able to talk to you for so many minutes. Like, what actually clicked, and you told yourself, okay, this is not worth it. My life means something to me.
Well, I talked to the officer for 89 minutes. Everything came out. Things that I never even thought existed, and things I never even thought I was dealing with, they came out that day. And the one thing that the officer did keynote on was my daughter. Yeah. It was one of my biggest failures in life. I felt like I was failing her as a dad. I was failing her as a father. I was failing her just in general. And she was so young already. And he made me understand that her birthday, which was the next month, I need to be there for her first birthday. Yes. I needed to be there to take part in the tradition of watching her grow up and being there for her. And that's what kind of eventually clicked. It was just the fact that, next month was her first birthday, and it was just, I had to be there. So that finally clicked in my head that I needed to come up, and I reached up and they pulled me up.
Okay. Now, do you feel like this attempt, was it premeditated? Was it something that you had decided, okay, I'm gonna do it this day, this way, at this time, or was it you just decide, okay, this is it, let me go and end it?
I woke up on March 11, 2005, that day, in just an enormous amount of pain, to the point where I had to end it. So the bridge, I never knew the Golden Gate Bridge was even known for suicide or attempts or anything. I never knew anything about it. So for me to pick the bridge on that day was just pure impulse. Only thing I know was the same day that I went to the bridge and went on that ledge was the same day that they was supposed to vote to whether or not to put the barrier up. So I don't know if it's consequently while they're inside voting to basically decide if we should put a barrier up or not. It's a young man on the ledge that's showing us that we need this barrier up. So I don't know if the two just conceded itself, but whatever it is, it gave me this platform, and that's what I use.
Okay. So since then, you're here, you're healthy, you're alive, and you're strong. What has happened since then? How has this newfound fame, so to speak, changed your life?
Well, I'm on day 836 of my newfound journey, and since that journey, I've decided to just eliminate all negatives in my life and just seek out all positives. And I learned that my story gives people hope, and that's what it gives me, and instills power into me when I tell it. Because in actuality, when I do tell my story, I actually go back to that day, March 11, 2005, in order to deliver that story, and it puts me into that moment, that time, that place. I feel the wind, I see the people, I smell the water, and it allows me to deliver the story, so people can understand how serious this thing is. I want people to understand I went through that for you already. I went to the bridge, and you don't have to go through that. These are the things that I did, and this will lead me to the bridge. Now this is the things that you can do so you don't have to get in that same situation.
Yes, absolutely. Now, do you feel like your family and friends, those that's close to you, that have heard your story, do you feel like that they are more educated now about suicidal issues and about the signs, because there are signs associated with, suicidal attempts?
Absolutely. I just feel like my family and friends knew me to be one way, and having to come out of this and know that there's separate layers to Kevin. It's not just one layer to Kevin. Kevin has showed the layer that everything is fine, and most men do. And we have to get past that second layer. And I've showed over the years different signs of that second layer, and that the signs have always been there. It's just no matter how much I've showed this first layer, that second layer has always been there.
Yeah.
And we just have to pay attention, no matter how molded a man is in his strategic ways and the things that he does. Sometimes he does opposite of what he normally used to do it.
Yeah.
And that's the times you got to pay attention to what he's doing.
Yes, absolutely. So now, Kevin, what are you doing now to keep yourself well? I know that you're doing a lot of outreach and speaking engagement to raise awareness in the community about suicide and how to prevent suicide. And what else are you doing to keep yourself well?
I wake up every day and I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for each moment. I don't let any moment pass by where I'm not grateful for that moment, that second, because miracles happen every day.
Yeah.
And I know it's an old saying. My mom, when I grew up, she always told me, put your problems in perspective as the world's. And I used to hate saying it, hearing her saying when I was younger, because I always worried about my problems. Now when I do that and I put my problems in perspective of the world, I don't have problems.
Yes. Absolutely.
So, and that's what people have to do. We always have to put, is somebody always in a worse situation?
Yes.
My problems, as much as I've been through, even just at 33, they don't amount to somebody else going through other things. So, I have to be humble enough to understand that and be grateful enough to understand and appreciate the life that I have, because it could be worse.
Yes, absolutely. Now, do you feel like, as an African-American male, I kind of spoke on that earlier about how we don't tend to kind of deal with those issues. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that comes our way, in society. Let's be honest here. We're classified as being a certain way, and we as a people or as black men may not be that way, but because you kind of got a few bad apples in a bunch, we're classified as being that way. Do you think that being stereotyped and experience some form of racism, whether it's at a workplace, whether it's out in the community, do you think that can contribute to some form of depression and eventually leading to some type of suicide attempts?
Absolutely. I feel like as an African American man, especially, we are the pressure to be strong is what paralyzes us.
Yes.
We are supposed to be this brute of a man, and we are just as human as anybody else.
Exactly.
We still have the same things. We still have the same internal organs as everybody else. So we hurt just like anybody else, but we are characterized and treated to not trip off certain things and not worry about certain things. But we're human.
Yes.
So you're basically teaching us not to be human, and we have to be human.
Yes.
And I think that as long as we continue to not be human, then we will continue to be, live in a world where things are going crazy.
Yes, exactly.
We have to constantly just continue to just do what we're supposed to do.
Exactly.
And be human.
Yeah.
If you're hurting by something, if something is bothering you, talk about it.
Exactly.
It's not about keeping it to yourself. It's not about I gotta be macho. It's about what people think about me. And that's the thing, we have to stop worrying about what people think, because the people that are affected, the people that we think that are looking at us a certain way, are just as affected as we are.
Exactly. I definitely agree with you on that, because as I stated earlier, I didn't, there's a lot of things that was going on in my life in the past, and that caused, me to be depressed. And, because my family and friends was looking at me one way, oh, you went to college and, you're helping people out and stuff like that. But I was living and dealing with my own issues, the issues of not having a father, the issues of coming from a broken home, the issues of not having family unity contributed to me dealing with, depression and stuff like that. And so I do think that, our society, environments does contribute to us living a lie as being African American men in a way,
I grew up in Oakland, California, where you have to be a certain way.
Yeah.
You any weakness and you got to change schools. I mean, that's just how it was growing up.
Yeah.
So knowing this growing up, you're not gonna, and that you're different.
Yes.
You grow up. When I grew up, I knew that I was different.
Yes.
I knew that at night nobody cried at night and try to figure out what every morning they woke up trying to understand, why did I wake up? Who struggled with purpose? Everybody else knew what they was doing with life. I had to be different.
Yeah.
I never knew until 2013 that he was even people in the world that struggled like me.
Wow.
So from the time that I was from as early as 5, which was back in '87 to 2013.
Yeah.
So you figure that's
Yeah.
I went almost my whole entire life up feeling like I was alone.
Yes.
And knowing that it was so many people that not only look like me, but it's other people that everybody's going through this. It's an epidemic. It has no race, it has no color, it has no gender.
Exactly.
And as long as we keep thinking that it's about a certain race, about a certain time, that's when we lose the battle.
Exactly.
So
I like how you said that. I like the fact that you said this depression does not have race. It does not have gender. It is cross culture. I've had friends that I've kind of spoke to and kind of mentored, and that really dealt with deep depression. Family members dealt with deep depression that are not African American, and so because now I feel like I'm educated and I have the tools and I can identify the warning signs, I'm able to really help them out. Sometimes I would get a call and literally at 2 or 3 in the morning, and some friends will call and I'm just feeling bad and I'm feeling down and out, and I'm knowing this is a form of depression, so I begin to ask them questions because I want to make sure that they're not in a space where they're trying to do anything to themselves. So that's important, and I think that is important that work like this is being done today, because this is a multicultural event.
We all have a huge responsibility.
Yeah.
I personally have a responsibility being that I've been through the storm, being that I've been in the darkness, and those as a suicide survivor, we know and can be compassionate enough because we understand how it feels to be in that situation.
Yes.
I'm not only, and I understand that I have a huge responsibility because I'm not just the voice of the African American man.
Yes.
I'm the voice of man.
Yes.
I'm the voice of every individual that suffers in silence.
Yeah.
So I'm not just one voice. I am a voice of many.
Yeah.
So I don't just categorize myself. I would love to say I'm the voice of just African American man, or I'm the voice of just man, but it's so many people that suffer that I have to say I'm the voice of everybody that suffers secretly and silently, because that's what I did for so many years.
Yeah.
I suffered secretly and silent.
Yeah. So what's your relationship with the officer that pretty much talked you down? What's your relationship with him now? Do you guys communicate often? Do you guys get together? What do you guys do now?
I've actually get the opportunity, and we get to travel together on certain events, and we get to speak together. We get to basically tell both sides of the story, and I think that it's phenomenal for where this country is at to see a Caucasian American officer,
Yes.
an African American man, and just see that our story of triumph, that it's more than just a first responder and a suicide survivor.
Yeah.
We are actually friends. It's not just somebody that saw me at my worst and that looks down upon me. This man, actually, we would genuinely have a relationship, and it started at my worst possible moment. That's why it's always critical to reach out to people, because strangers, that stranger that you don't know could be your guardian angel, and he was my guardian angel that day.
Yes.
Somebody that doesn't know me from anybody. He could have easily been impatient, or he could have easily said that, been incompassionate, or he could have did a lot of things, but what he did was be listening, and he was understanding, and I'm here because of it.
Yes, that's awesome. And I know that your daughter, I know that your family, your friends, I know that they're glad to still have you here. So what's next for you, Kevin? What's next?
I'm trying to change the world.
Yes.
I mean, to be honest, I'm emphatic about it. Like, I'm serious about that. And most people say it and we laugh about it, but it's something about me that I feel like I can.
Yeah.
It's something about because I feel like I have to. I'm not happy with the way the world is, because I'm not happy that people are not happy.
Yeah.
And when people are not happy, the whole world becomes in chaos.
Yeah.
And people are designed to be happy. Yeah, we're gonna go through things. Yeah, we're gonna have to identify with certain things. Yeah, we're gonna have to get through things. But the happiness is the goal, and we've got a place from the happiness. And I got so much joy I can give it to everybody. And I feel like I got enough for the world now.
Yes.
Because I've been to that dark place.
Yeah.
And I won't go back.
Yes.
So now I'm a constant reminder. And if I got to be a constant reminder of how I used to be to where I'm at now, I'll be that.
Yes.
And that's why I stand in front of the lines and take all ammo and the gunfire or whatever I got to take, because, like I said, I'm hitting this hard because I'm serious about this. And whatever doors I got to break down so that nobody's feeling like in silence, if I got to break down that door and get that girl that's behind the closet that doesn't want to come outside because she's fearful, if I got to break down that door and get her, whatever I got to do, that's what I'm going to do.
Yes.
Because I refuse to allow people to feel like I felt.
Yes.
To know that anybody in this world, that's why I'm so passionate about it, because I know how I felt.
Yes.
To know that anybody else in this world felt, even for a minute,
Yes.
how I felt.
Yes.
It drives me.
Yes. Absolutely.
And that's why I'm so passionate.
Well, I can definitely feel your passion. It's definitely contagious. That's why when I spoke with you, I'm like, okay, I got to get an interview with him. I got to get an interview with him because I think that people need to hear your story. I think that people need to know that you don't have to resort to committing suicide. You know,
it was worse. I've been at the worst. Like I've been there, and I get it. And there's a lot of sacrifices you're gonna have to make to get back. Like I've had to make numerous, sacrifices behind the scenes. And it's not all about for people to understand. Yeah. It's that these sacrifices had to be for my well-being. You got to make certain sacrifices for your well-being. Your life is important. Yes. Notice I said your life. Yes. And it's not nobody else's responsibility. Yes. For too long, I was waiting on somebody else to change my life. Yes. And when I figured out how I can change it, it changed. Yeah.
So, do you feel like you got all the support you need now to stay well?
I have a enormous amount of support group. Just the AFSP family alone is just phenomenal. They put on these community walks, and you get to come together. And I particularly like coming to these walks because you get around loved ones who have lost, and it's good for me because it's a reminder for me that could have been my loved one. Kevin, that could have been your mom, that could have been your dad, that could have been your sister. And it makes me be more compassionate with these individuals because I can't understand their loss. I can only understand their loved one's loss. And it's just good that they can come together and we all can come together as a family and understand that, hey, I've been through this, or I've been through it too. This is my coping mechanism. This is my coping mechanism. And come together and help. Because nobody goes through one thing by themselves. We're setting up for something else. What I went through, somebody else is about to go through, and my story should stop them. But if we don't tell it, then where we at?
That's exactly right. Well, I think that's all the questions that I have for you, Kevin, but I really, really, really enjoyed hearing your story. I actually heard a little bit of your story from somebody else, I think like a couple of weeks ago. Yes.
It's a lot of different layers to it, but I can give it to you. I try to give it to you as much as I can, but it's a lot of different layers. But at the defining moment of everything, no matter what my story, I want my story to represent that. I don't care how far you go that way, you can come back this way. I'm living a dream right now. I really am. And I haven't even touched the layers. I haven't even scratched the surface. 836 days ago. So that's just let people know. If I still know the count, that lets you know it's still real to me. I haven't been doing this for years, and I got years of experience. I'm still struggling with this, just like you struggling with it. But I just learned how to cope with it and deal with it differently. I learned to make myself look like this while I'm dealing with it because I know it still exists. But it's not gonna consume me. It's not gonna control me, and it's not gonna mess up my whole days. I have my moments. I have my seconds, but I won't let it control a day. You don't have days, ladies and gentlemen, and that's why I try to tell people we don't have days. They unpromised.
Okay, thank you so much for taking the time out and talking to me, man. And I wish you all the best on your recovery.
Thank you so much.
I swear I give and I take just for one more night, and we're still breathing fine. My head is on your shoulder. I'm